and good afternoon. It is Friday, and that means it's time for our Lunch and Learn. Now, today we're going to be talking about fiber, and I'm not sure what you know about fiber, but a lot of people think that fiber is necessary in our diet, and I happen to agree with that we do need fiber and we're not getting enough fiber. However, there is a small subset of the population who do not do well with added fiber, and so that may be you. And your doctor is going to tell you you need fiber. All of the health experts are going to tell you you need fiber. And by and large, most of us do need fiber. But some of us are not equipped in our gut that we can handle fiber. Some of us have something that is called an atonic bowel. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means the bowel does not have enough nerve supply to it to cause that peristaltic motion. And so if you give somebody fiber that has that kind of a large intestine, you're going to make them very uncomfortable because they are not able to do what they need to do to get everything moving forward. So we're going to talk a little bit about these things, and you're going to see what you can do to help your body metabolize the fiber that you are taking. So there was a lady, and she decided when she was 16 years old that she was going to be a vegetarian. Now, she had read that eating meat was not a good idea, it was not sustainable, and it had detrimental effects on the planet. Now, I particularly do not subscribe to that fact. I think that you can buy sustainable food from sustainable farms and different things that do not have a negative effect on the environment. I think a lot of it is related to quote unquote climate change, which I'm not quite sure I believe in. So you may just have turned off right now. I don't know. But I really believe that food sources, you should have your food from all of the different sources. So you need protein, you need vegetables and fruit, you need dairy, and you need fats. You need all of those food groups in order to be healthy. This lady followed a restrictive vegetarian diet for years, during which she increased or had increased painful inflammation, and her health deteriorated. As she got older, someone told her to listen to her body and to eat what her body was craving. And what was her body craving? Her body was craving meat. And so she started reintroducing meat into her diet. And as she did that, she found that her body started to respond more appropriately, and she had less gastrointestinal issues. When she reintroduced meat into her diet, she said that her energy improved and the severe acne that she was experiencing went away. So for the first time in years, she felt fantastic. Now, I will tell you that this is not about you should not be a vegetarian or you should eat more meat. That's not what this is about. This is about listening to what your body wants. Years ago, I was on a diet and I was trying to lose weight, and I was on it was a very restrictive diet. Had to go away for a business conference, went to, I think it was Las Vegas where we went. We stayed at this hotel, and they had a buffet every day. And so the offerings on the buffet were not great choices. I'm on a restrictive diet. What the hotel is offering really doesn't fit with my weight loss goals. And so I'm eating salad every day. I love salad, but you know what? When I eat salad, I always have them put protein on the salad because my particular body needs protein to be happy. Our church, all of the various churches that I've been to for years, they almost all do what they call a Daniel fast early in January at the beginning of the year. I can't do that. I've tried to do that. I've attempted to do that. I feel miserable. I am snarly. Okay, which is not the kind of attitude you want to have when you're doing a fast to the Lord, right? And so you have to know what your body needs in order for you to be your best self. So for me, I need protein to be my best self. If you put me on a diet with zero protein, I am not going to be a happy girl. And apparently this lady was the same. So here she is trying to eat a vegetarian diet because all of the influencers are saying, you know, it's good for the planet, it's good for all this kind of stuff, and it's better for you. Maybe, maybe not. there are some people that do very, very well on a vegetarian diet. And if that's you, I don't want to stop you from doing that. But there are other people like me that do very, very poorly on a vegetarian diet. And so for those people, it is important to listen to your body to see what your body needs. So for a subset of Americans, more fiber in their diet in the name of health is often the culprit for the way they feel, which is miserable, and might even contribute to disease. New research is affirming previous findings that some people do not digest fiber well, leading to a host of problems. Dietary experts say that these people need what they call a fiber reset so they can nurture a healthy community of microbes in their digestive tract capable of unlocking the health benefits of fiber. So we all agree that there are health benefits in fiber. We all agree that most people do not do well, do not have enough fiber in their diet. What we may not agree on is that every single person needs to increase the fiber without first resetting the gut. So a lot of what we know in holistic health is that if you are sick, if you are not well, if you are not having optimum health, most of the time you've got gas and bloating, constipation, diarrhea, all those kind of things, which all has to do with the gut microbiome. So how does that get messed up? Well, it gets messed up with a lot of reasons. If you have been given antibiotics throughout your life, and which one of us hasn't, right? We've all had antibiotics at one time or another. But the more antibiotic courses that you have taken, the more compromised your immune system is. If you were a C-section baby, your immune system is already compromised because you did not get that good beneficial bacteria from going through the birth canal. I don't know why God made it that way, but I'm just saying that's what the statistics show. If you were not a breastfed baby, then your internal microbiome is not as robust as someone who was vaginally born and also breastfed. So those are two really important ways to enter the world with a good microbiome. So what else destroys the microbiome? Alcohol. Alcohol destroys it. So if you're someone who has had a lot of alcohol abuse in the past, or you know people that have abused alcohol in the past, then they've got a compromised microbiome, and so they may not tolerate fiber very well. If you're someone who is under an inordinate amount of stress, stress kills the good bacteria in your gut, which allows the bad bacteria to proliferate. And if that happens, you're not going to be a good candidate for fiber. So there are a lot of things to look at when we're doing this. So fiber comes from plant-based foods such as beans, grains, peas, lentils, fruits, and vegetables. So we always say around here to eat the rainbow. So when I eat a salad, and I love salads, I absolutely love salads, I will also put protein on the salad. Usually for me, it's beef because I'm a beef girl. My body is never more happy than when I eat beef. And so I'll have, your tomatoes, your carrots, all the different grains, the blue vegetables, blueberries sometimes get sprinkled on the salad. We try and eat the rainbow because you've got different antioxidants that your body needs in order for your body to do what it needs to do. I also take vitamins that are the rainbow. They've got all the antioxidants from all the fruits and vegetables in there because we know that your fruit and vegetables that we have available to us today are not as nutrient dense as they should be. The most recent data that we have shows that from 1985 to 2002, that's the most recent data, the fruits and vegetables have lost on average 73% of their nutritional density. So you can eat all the organic you want, you can eat all the colors of the rainbow you want, but if you're not supplementing with a good multi-mineral, multivitamin, then you probably are not having all of the nutrition that you need. So all of these plant-based foods that we talked about can be very, very hard to digest. But we need to eat them. Why? Because they have the fiber in them. So the U.S. Department of Agriculture, My Plate dietary guidelines suggest that more than half of our diet should come from high fiber food in the form of fruits and vegetables and grains. Now, let me just give you a little caveat here with grains. Here in the United States, all of our grains are sprayed with glyphosate twice before they're harvested. Now, why is that? Because they want the farmer to get 100% yield of his crop, and I'm all about that. However, when you've got this chemical on the grain and the grain is processed and then you are ingesting that chemical, which is in the form of heavy metals, which causes gastric issues. Why is that? Well, in your small intestine, so I'm going to just kind of give you a little biology lesson in case you don't know. You eat your food goes down your esophagus, it goes like under the left breast into the stomach, gets all kind of churned around in there, then goes under the right breast into the small intestine. Inside the small intestine, you've got these little hair-like structures, and on these little hair-like, you've got all these absorption sites, right? So when you eat food that has glyphosate in it or heavy metals in it, those little villi get crunched down to this. And so you've got this much absorbable area so you can absorb your nutrition. So what are you going to want? Are you going to want villi like this? Or are you going to want like this? Well, most everybody is like this, which means they don't have any or enough absorption sites, and so they're not absorbing their food. And so when you give people like that a lot of fiber, they're going to have problems processing it because they don't have all the good things going on in their gut. So there are two types of fiber. There's soluble fiber and there is insoluble fiber. So if you came into the clinic, if you are a child, we're most probably going to recommend this product because it is a soluble fiber. You put it in the water, it dissolves, it has no taste, but it gets in your gut and it does what it needs to do, but the children never know. This is insoluble fiber, psyllium, okay? It does not dissolve in water, okay? And it acts like a sponge in your large intestine to grab all the nastiness and bring it out of your body. So there's two types of fiber. There's soluble and insoluble. So soluble fiber slows down digestion and it is linked to the production of beneficial metabolites called short-chain fatty acids. These offer us the health benefits to protect the heart, kidney health, lower inflammation, and regulate the immune system, protecting the body from diabetes, cancer, and obesity. Insoluble fiber adds bulk to the digestion and modulates the intestinal transit times. That means you should be moving your bowels. So you can see behind me, I've got pictures of eyes, right? Irises. The reason we have those is because I look at your iris and there are structures there that tell me what's going on with your bowel. So for some people, this kind of fiber is not good because their bowel is already slow. And if you give them something like this, it's going to slow it down even more. And so that's not going to be good for them. So we would use something like this. It's not going to do that. So just knowing your internal structure is going to go a long way to helping you find out what kind of fiber to use and when to use it. So fiber is naturally found in a wide variety of foods, including seeds and nuts, but it also is added to manufactured products. We need 25 to 35 grams of fiber a day. Most of us have a hard time getting 15. So most of us do not have enough fiber in our diet. Fiber plays a major role in regulating blood sugar, modulating appetite, which are important functions to combat obesity. Now, if you look around in the United States, 2 out of every 3 people are overweight. And so we don't want to be that person. And one of the ways that we cannot be that person is to add fiber to our diet. So fiber helps us with our metabolic health, our weight, okay, our energy. It's also been linked to improved bowel movements and a more robust gut microbiome. So the latter is important because if you do not have a robust gut microbiome, then when you take fiber in, you're going to have problems because you don't have the enzymes in order to modulate that, break that down so that fiber can help you. So that's really, really important. Now, some people may not know, because I did not know for years and years and years, but in order to be healthy, you need to be moving your bowels 2 to 3 times a day, every day. All right. So again, we look at the eyes, and the eyes will tell us if you're moving your bowel correctly, if you're sluggish, moving your bowel, if you've got the atonic colon, which we talked about, doesn't have enough nerve supply to the bowel. Whatever is going on, we can see it in the structure of your eye. Now, the iris of your eye, which is the colored part in your eye, is made up of the same kind of tissue that your brain is made up. And just the way, God made us, a trained iridologist can look into your eye and can tell you what's going on with your body and how to help you get your bowels moving so that you can have optimum health. And fiber may not be the way to go, all right? So, the microbiome is the crux of the debate. Some of fiber's biggest fans acknowledge that sometimes it doesn't sit well for some people. Now, Dr. Will Bulzewag, I hope I said that right, gastroenterologist and the author of Fiber Fueled, explained on a podcast that people with digestive issues often have trouble processing fiber, which can lead to gas, bloating, flatulence, and abdominal discomfort. So, probably every other person that walks in and sits down in my office says they have all of those things. So what does that tell me? That tells me that their gut microbiome is not working at its optimum level. And so when we see this, when people are telling us, we need to modulate that, and we need to get their body, their gut, and their brain reconnected so that we can get their gut to do what it needs to do. And that may be that we just have to flood them with probiotics. It may mean that we have to do other things. Everybody is different. Everybody is unique. And so he says the message that I want people to understand is that if you are struggling with digestion of fiber because your gut has been damaged, these microbes, they're struggling to keep up with what you're asking them to do. The problem is most people experience damage in their gut microbiome because of a long list of chemical or other exposures that come with living in an industrialized world. Now, we talked about that. We talked about antibiotics, and we talked about alcohol and drug abuse. However, there are antimicrobial hygiene products that kill your gut microbiome. There's glyphosate, which we've talked about. There's the lack of sleep and exercise, which goes under the stress category. There's artificial sweeteners. There's various food additives and emulsifiers. And, of course, there's chronic stress. Now, for you people out there that are watching your calories and you're drinking 0-calorie drink sodas, or you're eating things that have a 0-calorie sweetener, you are hurting yourself and you are killing your microbiome because your body does not know what to do with those substances and your body treats them as poison. So we don't want that. Now, full disclosure, you don't know what you don't know. So my late husband was English. We lived in Scotland. We lived in England. And when we came home in 1991, I think it was, there was this wonderful product on the grocery store shelves, and it was a fat-free, sugar-free chocolate cookie. And it was covered in fudge. And I thought I had gone to heaven because I'm a chocolate girl. As much as I'm a beef girl, I'm also a chocolate girl, okay? And so I bought these cookies and I thought I was in heaven because there was no fat, there was no sugar, and it tasted wonderful. Well, as I got older and I moved into this field of study, I found out that 0-calorie sweeteners, you know how they started their life? They started their life as industrial solvents. Somehow, something got on somebody, they happened to lick their hand, they happened to see that it was sweet, and so they said, oh, this is really sweet, let's move it on into the food industry because it has 0 calories. Well, yeah, because it's not supposed to be a food thing, right? It's supposed to be an industrial solvent, but now they are using those products in our food and our sodas, and what that's doing, it's poisoning us from the inside out, and it's killing the microbiome. So we don't know that. People don't know that, and so they're eating these things because they're dealing with obesity, they're dealing with diabetes, they're dealing with high blood sugar, whatever they're dealing with, right? They think they're helping themselves, but really they're not helping themselves, all right? Since so many people have dysbiosis, now dysbiosis means a disrupted gut microbiome, very low flora, all right? They tend to have a lot of issues digesting fiber, which comes in the form of what? Fruits and vegetables. So when we are born, and we are born vaginally, as I said, you've got 80% good bacteria in the gut, and you've got 20% bad bacteria. Anytime that you have antibiotics, all your bacteria disappears, the good and the bad. It's just like your garden in the springtime. When you go out there, you clean it up, you plant your pretty flowers, and you walk away. 2 weeks later, your pretty flowers are probably going to be dead, and your weeds are going to be, sky high. Why is that? Well, because weeds grow without any kind of cultivation. Same thing in your gut. If you don't reseed the gut with the good probiotics, the bad probiotics are bad bacteria. They're going to grow, and you're going to have that inverse balance of 80% bad bacteria, 20% or less good bacteria, which is a dysbiosis ratio. So when you have that, you're going to have trouble with fruits and vegetables, and you're going to have trouble digesting any fiber that you add to your diet. So does that mean we don't add fiber to the diet? No. That means we look at the gut microbiome, and we do what we can do to adjust that dysbiosis so that we've got the 80% good bacteria and the 20% or less bad bacteria. Now, in a study published this year, this is 2024, they proved that fiber plays a highly individualized role in the body depending on each person's microbiome. It seems to be generally beneficial with a wide variety of disease states, but it is unpredictable based on the person's gut microbiome. Published in Microbiome, a study aimed to see how 2 forms of dietary fiber affect the microbiota of healthy subjects. Researchers recreated individual microbiomes through donor samples to conduct their tests in lab settings. They found that inflammation was dependent on context, meaning that the microbiota composition was the driver for inflammatory bowel disease. So I don't know if you know anybody that has inflammatory bowel disease, but it is quite debilitating. They can call it IBD, they can call it IBS, and if it's really, really bad, they can call it Crohn's disease, right? Some people back in the day used to call it a nervous stomach because anytime something would happen, they'd have to run off to the bathroom. When the microbiota is balanced properly, guess what? That just goes away. So fiber is a two-edged sword, and it depends on the person's gut microbiome whether fiber is a beneficial additive or whether it is not. And so the study finds that taking a personalized approach that, quote, IBD patients hosting a fiber-resistant microbiota should not refrain from consuming various soluble fibers, while patients with a fiber-sensitive microbiota should carefully consider fiber intake and the fiber source as a central actor for disease management. So put that into better language for you. Some people with a good, healthy microbiome, they can eat soluble fiber, no problem. They can eat insoluble fiber, no problem. I'm that girl. I can take this 2 or 3 times a day and I'll have absolutely no problem. I can take this, have absolutely no problem. I can eat all the fruits and vegetables that I want during a day, and guess what? 0 gas, 0 bloating, 0 abdominal discomfort. Why is that? Because I've spent years working on my microbiome so that everything is working the way it needs to. I can't tell you the last time I had an antibiotic. Yes, I can. It was about 17 years ago because I'd had a hernia an umbilical hernia that wasn't giving me any problem, but the doctor said as I get older, my tissue is going to become more fragile and I could pick up one of my grandchildren and it would get to be a big hernia. And so they went in and did a repair before it got to be a problem. So while I don't like surgery and all that kind of stuff, it was better to do that than risk at a later age having a real big problem. But when you go and you have surgery, guess what? They're going to give you antibiotics. They're just going to, and we're glad that they do that. What that does, as I said before, it squashes all of your bacteria, your good and your bad, and then you have to replace all of the good stuff so that you can, live another day and be very, very healthy. And so that's what we want to do, and that's why we're here and we're talking about this. So if you are someone who the doctor is saying we need to have more fiber, and yet you try to comply with more fiber, but you're miserable, then you're one of those people that we need to see so that we can help you get your microbiome back in good working order. Now, the findings that we just talked about offer credibility to an older study that was published in 2012 in the World Journal of Gerontology. No, I didn't say that right. Gastroenterology. It examined cases of idiopathic constipation. Now, what is idiopathic? Idiopathic means they don't know what the cause is. It just is. They don't know what the cause. So idiopathic constipation. Constipation is if you do not move your bowels 2 to 3 times every day, all right? 63 subjects were asked to remove all fiber from their diet for 2 weeks and then reduce it afterwards to a level they found suitable. I think they meant reintroduce it to a level they found suitable. Symptoms were recorded at 1 month and 6 months after the dietary changes, including rectal bleeding, bloating, abdominal pain, and difficulty going to the bathroom. Patients who stopped or reduced dietary fiber had significant improvement in their symptoms, while those who continued on a high fiber diet had no change. So is this for every single person? No, these are for the people that have IBS, they have irritable bowel syndrome, they've got Crohn's disease, anything like that. They are going to have trouble with fiber, and yet all their medical people are going to say, up the fiber, up the fiber, up the fiber. And generally that is good advice. But when you've got gut issues, you've got to repair the gut issues before you can move forward with fiber. So another study compared fiber with fermented foods to see which one was more beneficial for gut health, including improving the microbiome diversity and lowering the inflammatory markers. Researchers anticipated that fiber would come out the winner, but that prediction was wrong. Published in Cell, C-E-L-L, in 2021, the study noted that eating fermented foods such as yogurt, kefir, kimchi, and other fermented vegetables and kombucha tea increased microbial diversity, an effect that grew proportionally with the serving. So the more of those kind of foods, fermented foods that you eat, the better your microbiome becomes. So if you're somebody that has trouble with fiber, then you want to go toward your fermented foods. So your sauerkraut is one. Fermented soy products, even though I don't really like soy because of other things, they do help with the microbiome diversity. And as we have seen in these studies, when your microbiome is very diverse, then you're not going to have problems with fiber. So the inflammatory markers improved in that group, but did not change in the high fiber group that ate nuts, whole grains, seeds, legumes, fruits, and vegetables. They experienced no change in microbial diversity. Now, there's an issue here that we talked about earlier. When our grains are sprayed with pesticides and herbicides, and then we ingest those, we're killing the microbiome. And so that's why when we're working on a gut reset program, we take all those foods out. We take the legumes out, we take the grains out, we take the dairy out, we take the caffeine out, we take the alcohol out, we take the soda out, we take all the packaged foods out. Why? Because we want to make that environment really nice and healthy so it can regrow the good bacteria that it needs in order for the person to be healthy. Now, this makes sense that plants would be beneficial from many perspectives, including being able to bind to toxins such as heavy metals in the body. Eating more fiber is usually an upgrade compared with the industry food model that many Americans follow. So if you follow the standard American diet called SAD, right, Standard American Diet, it is sad indeed. We used to have a video on our YouTube channel where we showed and did a demonstration of someone who ate a SAD diet to someone who ate an organic diet, and it was really, really powerful. We may need to redo that video because it's just like absolutely ancient, okay? So you want to look at what's going on in your body. So if you suffer chronically from gas, bloating, pain in your gut, then you are somebody that we do not necessarily want to have fiber. So if this is you and your doctor is saying you need to have more fiber, which all doctors are going to tell us we need to have more fiber because hardly any of us get enough, you need to explain to the doctor that he needs to rebuild your gut microbiome first before you're able to introduce fiber, because if you don't, you're just going to be more uncomfortable with the gas, bloating, and abdominal cramping and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of information out there. Everybody could use more fermented foods. I see on my Facebook feed every day somebody's doing more fermented foods. They're doing their own, and I think that's a good thing. I haven't kind of jumped on that bandwagon yet because my gut microbiome is pretty good. However, it's something that you can do to improve your gut health, and that's what we want. So fiber is good in most people, for most people, but there is a subset of people that do not have the right gut bugs, belly bugs, in order to metabolize that fiber. And so that fiber just causes them further complications, dysfunction, pain, whatever name you want to put on there. So if that's you, give us a call and we'll hook you up so that you can do what you need to do to get your gut microbiome back where it needs to be. So just want to say thank you guys for joining me today. It is the weekend. My watchword for the weekend is self-care. Take care of yourself, nourish your family, nourish your relationships. It's all important. It helps with stress reduction, and stress kills the microbiome. So thank you for liking, thank you for commenting, thank you for sharing. If you have any questions, then pop them in the box and I will get back to you later today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next week.